Welcome to Rick's Europe. Today we're traveling to France, a country that gave us so many great inventors and thinkers like Rousseau, Voltaire, and Marie Curie. But now it is a complete decay under the leadership of Emmanuel Macron, who did a great job destroying his own beautiful country with his open border policies. Now we all have fresh in minds, of course, the horrible riots that took place just 2 or 3 weeks ago. Rick's Europe traveled to France as to attend one of the main events, which was the Patriots for Network Fête de la Victoire, surrounded by 6,000 French patriots. And in the streets of Paris, we could still see the damage those riots has caused. It shows that the dream of full integration and assimilation has completely failed. But what is really going on? How bad is that situation? Well, we invited Alexandre de Galzain. He is a journalist at Le Ligne Droit, one of the main, well actually it is the main and leading conservative radio in France. Alexandre, it's so good to have you here on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Scarlett. It's really a pleasure for me to join you and to join this patriot unity, and thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, as I said, Paris is in decay. It's just an example because there's more in France than just Paris. But when you take, for example, the metro station, you can see 4 or 5 illegal immigrants sleeping next to each other in every corner of that metro station. This is just an example, but it goes beyond that. It is a systematic pattern that we see. I even saw people sleeping in tents under bridges. So it shows that France cannot keep up with the level of mass migration coming into your country. That is something that we observe as an outsider, but you actually grew up in France. What is your perspective on that? Can you talk more about your personal experiences? How bad is that situation?
I will not talk to you as a journalist, but as a French citizen for this question. The main fact is that it's impossible today to live in France without suffering the consequences of mass migration. You see in France, mass migration is you see it more in the big cities like Paris, Lyon, Marseille, Lille, or Rennes, but you can also see it in smaller towns. You can see it even in the countryside today. It's something that has changed a lot this past 20 years. And today immigration is everywhere. Currently, even for someone living in the countryside, my family lives in the countryside, and even for my family, they can't escape the consequences of immigration by simply taking the bus, by going to some city nearby to buy some food, by just, taking care when they go take a drink at night. For example, my brother, who is studying, he has this, and it's the same for all French people. Currently impossible to escape immigration. Now, I'm quite young, but I don't live in the same country in which I was born. What I mean is that the face of my country has changed in only 25 years. It's quite an incredible change, in fact. And I will tell you some story about it. My first true experience with immigration. When I was young, I remember I was, in my bed in the same room as my brother, and we were just about to sleep, and our mother came to us and she said, okay, there was a terrorist attack in Paris by an Islamist, and we just have to take care right now, and we have to be, careful about what we do, about when we hang out and everything. So you will stay 2 or 3 days at home. You won't go to school tomorrow. And it was, Charlie Hebdo attack in 2015. And next year there was Bataclan a few months later. And this was a huge shock for my generation, the youth in France. This was a huge shock for France in general. And since then, there is, terrorism of every day in France currently. It means that, I'm a journalist, so I see all the news that are passing in France, all of them. And especially on immigration, I can't have one day without seeing some judicial case, without seeing some insecurity affair in which an immigrant or a descendant of an immigrant is implicated. Currently, as I told you, immigration comes, from the terrorist attack, the murder, to the lowest possible form of, nocivity. Like, for example, it's the immigrant who puts some loud music in the bus. It's the one who is just, laughing, smoking a joint. And it goes to all the aspects of society. And currently, France, it's not only a question of how much immigration costs. It costs French lives, firstly. And then it costs also, a way of living that we are losing because we have to adapt, we have to suffer in, like every French man has to suffer of migration. It doesn't depend on where he lives, it doesn't depend on how much he earns money. It's just like he has to live with it, and this is changing France currently.
I think we all remember the Charlie Hebdo attack and then, of course, Bataclan. It has changed Europe forever. That moment was very significant. Well, let's continue talking about that, right? Like the open border policies that basically is happening under the leadership of Macron. Well, there's a new rule that he has. The rule of engagement that now says that French authorities, they are allowed to intercept boats 300 meters from the coast. And I'm thinking to myself, this is just a band-aid. It's not fixing a real problem. The fact that they can come so close to the borders is a problem on its own. We need to prevent that these people have an incentive to take that boat and try to get into France, they're not coming on boats. They're just traveling through Europe, through 6-7 other safe states, and then they try to see if they can get a French. They can stay in France, and if they don't, they take a boat and they continue going to the UK. Honestly, is this going to make any difference?
Well, to tell you everything, Scarlett, if you want some weird French law adapting to immigration, it's almost impossible to buy a boat nearby Calais in France. Calais is the city from where all the migrants come to the UK, and it's almost impossible to buy a boat up there because the authorities are forbidding it because they know that migrants will buy or steal boats to come to England. So currently, the situation is completely crazy, and obviously, as you said, it's not a little law of how much meters we can go from the coast to take back the migrants that will change anything. I think there was like 500,000 million euros that were put into protecting the UK border by France.
But what has happened with that money? Because look at the statistics. Okay, 480 million pound, correct. But however, this year, the amount of people that actually made that crossover from Calais to the UK has risen with 42%. 42%. What is Macron doing with that money? What is happening with that money? Why is there such a massive increase of people making that trip from France to the UK?
And tell yourself that we normally should have a Minister of the Interior and Immigration who is right-wing, like who says he's right-wing. So imagine with a left-wing one. Well, where is going that money? Everywhere, and especially in the pockets of the migrants, in fact. But, Scarlett, I can't talk really for England, but what I can tell you about France is that because the main problem is that migrants are coming to France before coming to the UK. And, the main problem with France is not illegal migration, I believe. To tell you, each year, the big picture is that each year we have 500,000 immigrants coming in France. 500,000 immigrants coming to France each year. And what's funny about it is that illegal immigration is only 80,000 of illegal aliens. There are two other types of immigrants in France that are the most important ones. In fact, they are asylum seekers who are cheating on asylum because even when their asylum is refused, they stay in France. And each year, it's 120,000 asylum seekers that come to France to ask the asylum. And even if they don't get it,
Wow.
they stay in France and they get aids and they get like money and everything, funds. And the second topic is legal immigration, which is 300,000 people, 300,000 migrants coming to Europe. They are students that stay after in France. There are family immigration, work immigration, and everything is coming to France. So I will tell you honestly, Scarlett, I don't know exactly how Macron and Bruno Retailleau, our Ministry of the Interior, are doing currently to stop immigration, to prevent immigration from going to the UK. But what I can tell you is that with so much immigration coming to France, it will be impossible, even with billions of euros, to stop them from going to other countries.
So wait, what you said 300,000, but I mean you were talking also about people that come and work in France. Are we talking about like high educated people that are actually paying taxes and returning something back to society, or like what are we talking about?
Scarlett, I think you know the answer about it. Obviously, there are Africans from former French colonies in Africa, especially West Africans like Guineans, Gabonese, Congolese, Malians, and all those country of Black Africa. There are also Maghrebians from Algeria, especially from Morocco, from Tunisia, and all these countries obviously are undereducated, are under civilized. We have to tell it also, like to say it, because there are countries where there is not the same, European civilization, European laws, European way of living. They are like African countries. And also we have, because it's not funny if we don't have them, some Afghans, 100,000 Afghans coming these last 10 years, 100,000. It's just huge, and France has never colonized Afghanistan. That's not a question of colonization. Sweden has a lot of immigration and Sweden has never colonized any country. So no, the main topic is that currently, obviously, we have all these people. We have, to be honest, we have, some doctors sometimes, some people that work in health, in our health system. But the problem is that they are not working in Africa currently. And if they are not working in Africa or in Maghreb, the thing is that in Africa and in Maghreb, they are suffering. And so they are coming to France to get free healthcare in France because they don't have the doctors. African doctors are coming to France. There are no doctors in Africa, so the Africans are coming in France to get free healthcare for healing themselves. So it's just a complete crazy system that put itself into this kind of organization, supported obviously by capitalism, but also by the left, which is the useful idiots. We call it as like this, the useful idiots of capitalism currently, because the left is for immigration, because the immigration is voting for the left. I will tell you just one number about it. It's 70% of the Muslim people are voting for Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who is the leader of the far left in France.
We see that very often as a pattern. The socialist parties always claim that they are the parties for the foreigners. They use that just to get their votes. But what are they actually doing for that population? In practice, nothing. But it makes them look like they're the good guys. And of course, we are the bad guys. Well, I'm wondering how much longer can France survive under a leader like Macron until it says it is enough. How much longer can France survive Macron?
The good news about it is that in 2 years, Macron will be forced to leave the power. And some people say that he will try to stay and keep power and everything. But the truth is that he won't manage to do so. One number for it, it has been 8 years that Macron is in power in France, 8 years of destroying France, and only 7% of French people think that the situation has improved over these past 8 years. Only 7% of French people. So that's 93% that think that it has just stayed like it was. So we just didn't grow. Or who think, and that's the majority, that the situation is much worse than 8 years before. So the good news is that I can announce you in 2 years, Macron will be out. Okay? So the main question is who will succeed to Macron? And currently, there will be a choice into French people. It will be a choice between the successor of Macron, which can be Gabriel Attal, Edouard Philippe, or some other former prime minister that has failed before, and which will be a guy from the center supported by the left, as it has been despite past 8 years, or it can be someone from the national camp, the patriots, and I truly hope that France will be able to make this choice, will be able to make this brave choice, because it's quite a bold move, to be honest. We know these people and they are never governed. They never took the power. And, for French people and for everyone, it's always something hard to give power to someone who never exerts the power. But we have to make this choice. We have to be brave about it. And I think that's the only way to survive this. For immigration, especially, I don't think that any party is able to maintain zero immigration in France. It's almost impossible. We have to work at the European level to do so, We have to work with Italy of Giorgia Meloni. We have to work with Spain of, hopefully one day, Santiago Abascal. We have to work with Portugal of André Ventura, and all these people to get zero immigration one day. But until now, we have to work to lower it at the best level, the lowest level possible. And I think that it is possible. We just have to get a political willing, and only the patriots today have it. So I really hope that France will, in 2 years, in 2027, we will get one day, for once, patriots at power.
And who's the patriots? Which party is the patriots for you?
Well, the patriots, it's quite hard to say it because Bruno Retailleau, for example, of Ministry at the Interior, says that he's a patriot. We don't have proofs of it. He says it, but we don't have proof at the moment. But what I can tell you for sure is that there are patriots. There are, for example, small ones that are only a few persons, like Eric Zemmour, Marion Maréchal, Éric Ciotti, but there are also, obviously, the National Rally of Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella, who is leading currently. It will be hard for them because the judicial system is against them. All the system is against them. But we've won some victories. We don't have to say that everything is lost. It will be so hard and everything. No, currently, the right wing in France, the true right wing, the National Camp, we have medias, we have personalities, we have, more money than before. We have the people with us. So it won't be so hard for the globalists and the leftists to take on us, to win on us. It won't be so hard. Really trust me. And currently, Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella are doing, I have to tell it, an amazing job. The road is still long. 2 years is not tomorrow. But the road is still long, but they have to work on themselves. They have to work on their party. They have to be credible. But I truly hope that they will be able to, be technical, to be intelligent, to be smart in their moves, to be strategic, and to be also, to follow their principles. And if they do so, I think it won't save France, to be honest. We don't have to trust in Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella like we could trust in God. But we have to say that it will obviously be better for us. And it will at least enray the decline in which we are currently.
Alexandre, thank you so much for making time, explaining everything. We'll have to re-invite you another time to talk more about what's happening in France, because there's so much going on. But for now, where can people follow your work?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, but also follow Droit, which is my media, my French radio from Radio Courtoisie. And let's stay in touch, please, Scarlett. I hope we will work again together and see ourselves maybe in Paris, maybe in Amsterdam, maybe in some other European city. We never know how the future is made. But thank you very much for inviting me.
Of course, Patriots United. Well, thank you so much at home for watching, and we'll see you next time.